Savannah Turner had lived in the small American town of Westbrook all her life, a place where people still held doors open for strangers and waved at passing cars. But lately, life hadn't been that kind to her. She worked double shifts at Ricky's Diner, a classic 1960s-style American eatery with neon lights and black and white tiles, just to afford basic bills. Her mother was sick, medical expenses were piling up, and Savannah had barely enough left to buy groceries. Yet she pushed through every day wearing a smile, even when her world felt heavy. It was a quiet Tuesday morning when the diner's door chimed, and a group of 5 bikers walked in. They were tall, rugged, leather-jacketed men with long beards and intimidating tattoos, enough to make other customers shift uneasily. But Savannah didn't flinch. She greeted them just like she greeted everyone else, with warmth, respect, and genuine kindness. Jack, the leader of the group, noticed her tired eyes and soft smile. "You look like you've had one long night," he chuckled. Savannah shrugged politely. "Just another shift." The bikers ordered breakfast, burgers, fries, pancakes, and coffee, and Savannah served them as best she could, even though her legs ached from standing since dawn. When the meal was over, the bikers reached for their wallets, only to realize that the diner's ancient card machine had just malfunctioned. It wasn't taking payments. Savannah felt her heartbeat spike. Ricky, the owner, wasn't there, and she knew he would scold her harshly if she let anyone walk out unpaid. The bikers looked embarrassed, offering to go out and use the ATM, but Savannah had seen enough honest people struggle to know sincerity when she saw it. Without hesitating, she walked to the counter, opened her apron pocket, and took out her last $10 bill, the money she had saved to buy food for herself and her sick mother. "Don't worry about it," she said softly. "I'll cover this until the machine gets fixed." Jack stared at her, stunned. "You don't even know us. Why would you do that?" Savannah swallowed, holding back the emotion in her throat. "Because sometimes people need a break. And I've been given plenty by strangers too." Her words hung in the air. The bikers exchanged glances, clearly moved. It wasn't every day someone made a sacrifice like that, especially not someone who needed the money more than they did. As they left the diner, Jack paused by the door and said, "You have no idea what this means." "We'll be back." Savannah just nodded. She wasn't expecting anything. She didn't do it for repayment or gratitude. She did it because kindness, even when it cost something, had a way of circling back in life. Little did she know, the bikers weren't just any motorcycle group. And when they returned, they would bring something far more valuable than money, something that would change Savannah's life forever. Savannah returned to work the next morning with the same tired determination that had carried her through so many long days. She hadn't told her mother what had happened at the diner. She didn't want her to worry about the $10 they desperately needed. She simply made tea for her, left early for her shift, and hoped today would be easier. The morning rush came and went. Savannah continued serving customers with her usual grace, even though the weight of unpaid bills pressed heavily on her mind. Around noon, the familiar rumble of motorcycle engines echoed outside the diner. The glass windows trembled slightly as 6 bikes rolled into the parking lot, 5 from yesterday, and 1 additional rider wearing a vest covered in patches. Savannah froze. Jack walked in first, giving her a warm nod. "Told you we'd come back," he said. This time, the bikers weren't carrying the intimidating presence that made other customers uncomfortable. They looked calm, intentional, almost solemn. The 6th biker, a tall man with silver hair and gentle eyes, stepped forward. "You must be Savannah," he said. "I'm Cole. Jack told me what you did yesterday." She smiled politely, brushing a loose strand of hair behind her ear. "It wasn't a big deal, just helping out." Jack shook his head firmly. "No, it was a big deal. People don't help strangers like that anymore. Not the way you did." The bikers asked her to step outside for a moment. Confused but trusting, Savannah followed them out the diner doors. As she stood on the sidewalk, the men formed a semicircle around her. Cole cleared his throat. "We're part of an organization called the Guardian Riders," he explained. "We travel across the country helping veterans, single mothers, struggling workers, people who give more than they receive." Savannah blinked, stunned. Jack continued, "And you gave when you had almost nothing left. That tells us everything we need to know about the kind of person you are." The silver-haired rider handed her a small envelope. Savannah opened it with trembling fingers, and nearly dropped it. Inside was a check for $25,000, made out in her name. Her breath caught. I can't take this, she whispered. You already earned it, Cole said softly. Kindness is rare. We don't let it go unnoticed. Tears welled in Savannah's eyes. She covered her mouth, overwhelmed. This will pay for Mom's medicine, months of it, maybe more. Jack rested a reassuring hand on her shoulder. We know, and that's the point. But the surprises weren't over. Another biker stepped up. We also talked to the diner owner. Ricky's been struggling to keep the place running. So we're covering repairs, including the card machine, and we prepaid for a 6-month meal plan for you and your mom. You won't go hungry anymore. Savannah broke down, sobbing against Jack's vest as the bikers stood around her like a protective family. In that moment, she realized something profound. Sometimes help comes from the places you least expect. And sometimes strangers become angels with roaring engines and leather jackets. The Guardian riders didn't just repay her kindness. They restored her hope, something money alone could never buy.